Thank you for joining us today for this information session for the 2026 James Castle House Residency. I'm happy you are here with us. We want to welcome Lavona Andrew as our ASL interpreter for this session. And also, in addition, English language captions are available by clicking on the live transcript button at the bottom of your screen, then selecting Show Subtitle. Before we dive into this information session, we would like to acknowledge the broader history of the land the James Castle House sits on. We recognize the ancestral, cultural, traditional, and unceded territory of the Shoshone, Bannock, and Northern Paiute people whose land the site sits on today. This information session will be available at the James Castle House's YouTube channel and also on our website as a recording for you to rewatch and to pass along to any friends that you might think are interested in this residency. The James Castle House Residency is a program brought to you by the City of Boise and the Arts and History Department, where we offer many services that include public art, history programs, archives, cultural grants, and care and conservation. Now for introductions. My name is Monica Galvan, and I am the Cultural Sites Program Coordinator here at the James Castle House. And I'm here with Kristen Hill, who is our Cultural Sites Manager. And of course, Lavona. During the presentation, please feel free to submit your questions into the chat. We will address them at the end. And also, I will be sharing my contact information on the last slide. So if any questions come up for you after the presentation, please do reach out. Here's our agenda for today. We're gonna take a look at the James Castle Residency as an overview, the application process, including the criteria, what it looks like for the selection process, suggestions that we believe would be helpful to you, some frequently asked questions, and then we'll take a minute and take questions from you all. Let's dive in. So for the residency overview, the residency invites artists to immerse themselves on this site, explore the house, its history, and the surrounding landscape, and respond to their experience through the creation of new works. It's a very unique opportunity because you also get to look at some of James Castle's artwork. And so we've heard from residents past how amazing this residency can be and how unique it can be. For the residency overview, the James Castle House celebrates the life and work of American artist James Castle through the exhibitions that we hold in our exhibition space, community programs, also research, and of course this residency program. We also work with conservation of the historic space where Castle lived and worked for over 4 decades. So, as I was saying, how unique this residency is, it really invites artists to immerse yourself on the site and to really think about James Castle's art and his history and the history of this site itself. Some of the residency goals or the resident goals is to support emerging and mid-career artists by providing space and time to focus deeply on a creative practice, to provide free and accessible cultural programs to the Boise community. So part of the residency, there is an interaction component with the resident and our community here in Boise. Number 3, to expand community awareness of the James Castle House. Number 4 is to continue the daily practice of creativity on site that was established by James Castle. And we'll take a look at the different residency options. So we have a 2-month residency and also a 2-week residency. So I want to note that this is a change that we are making this year for this upcoming 2026 year. So we'll have two-month terms available in 2026. This will have a $4,000 stipend, and we will ask of the residents for public events. These are not limited to workshops, open studios, or presentations. We will work directly with each resident to think about what best way to represent you and to engage with the community. And then we also will ask one donated artwork at the end of the residency. And for the expenses paid by the residents, they are responsible for travel. Also, we ask for liability insurance, and they are responsible for food and supplies for their art making. And then expenses paid by the James Castle House would be the housing, the utilities, and that $4,000 stipend. And I just want to note that that stipend can go towards art supplies. We don't monitor where it is spent. We're giving it to you to continue nourishing your experience here at the James Castle House. And then the short stay residency is a 2-week residency term. It gives a $1,000 stipend, and then we ask one public event to engage with the community here in Boise. And then this is very similar to the 2-month stay. So the resident needs to pay for travel supplies, their own art supplies, also the insurance component and food. And then the James Castle House will provide housing, utilities, and that $1,000 stipend. Now, looking at artist eligibility, both residencies are open for local artists and a great opportunity for those who have the flexibility to live on site. The artists must be eligible to work legally in the United States, be able to pass a background check. They must be 18 years or older, be an emerging or mid-career artist working in a creative field, and they must live on site through the duration of the term. Here's a look at the timeline. The application is now open. It is open until August 6th. And once it is closed, then we will meet together as a panel to review. And then we would notify the top candidates by October. And I want to take a look at the application process and know that there's different steps in order to submit the application. So we use Submittable. I hope some of you have already been familiar with Submittable. So this platform allows us to gather all your information and then have that panel review your information. So it is free to create an account. There is no application fee for this, and you can find the application if you visit our website. It's jamescastlehouse.org, and then you would click on apply. You you are able to apply to both the long stay and the short stay. We just ask that you don't use different media to apply to them. I think I go in a little bit deeper in these other slides. Some of the application components, the criteria that we look at, strengthen application, so making sure you are clear, concise, and it's a compelling response to the application questions. We want to hear why you want to be at the James Castle House. We want to hear about the connections that you might already see making. So we want to make sure that you respond to those clearly. Then quality artwork samples. So we ask for you to submit your own pictures of your work and your unique voice. There is an ask for references from 3 individuals familiar with your work and experience leading programs. So thinking about who you've worked with closely that could speak to us about how committed you are, how reliable you are. Those would be very important to include. And then the finalists are the ones who are interviewed, and that's an interview that I do alongside Kristen. And so the 2 finalists would be who we identify with the selection panel, and then interview. That's a phone call interview. Actually, we've been doing it on video, sorry. So then we get a feel of who you are and see, just how this residency would apply to you and your experience. We're a match. So the selection panel process, every year we have a different team that selects and reviews the different applications. So the selection panel is composed of community members, staff from the Arts and History Department, also Arts and History commissioners, and previous James Castle House residents. The applications are reviewed by individual panelists. We give them some time to look through all of the applications, and then we gather together and talk about who we are considering. Then the finalists are interviewed in September, and then the residents will be announced in October. Some suggestions that we thought would be helpful to you all as you start thinking about applying or start your application, just things to guide you and keep in mind, is to review the guidelines and the criteria carefully. To choose work sample you are proud of and strongly reflect your voice and your craft. We would like to see you connect the dots throughout. Why are you choosing to apply to the James Castle House residency in particular? We know there are so many amazing residencies out there, but we want to really hear why you're choosing to apply to the James Castle House. We also want you to focus on the medium or a cohesive body of work. So not focusing on showing us variety of the different materials you might be able to use, but just thinking about how we can see you through a cohesive body of work. And we encourage you to have high quality images. This is really hard to look at artwork if it's not showing truly what it might look like in person, because we're looking at it in a digital format. So making sure you have quality images is very important. Thinking about how well lit where you're taking the picture is, and just making sure it's an accurate representation of your artwork. Some frequently asked questions. For locals, residents must live on site throughout their term. I think that this is something that is unique because, yes, like you might live 5-10 minutes away from the James Castle House, and that just even adds more flexibility to have this experience not too far away from your home. And we can talk about different components. Like for those of you who are traveling into Boise, we're not saying that you can't leave for like a trip that you already had planned to see a family member get married or something like that. Like all of that is flexible. The residency is a solo experience. It's a small studio apartment, so no teams can apply. We just don't have space to accommodate more than one person at a time. No pets or partners are allowed to live in the space. Applicants can apply to both 2-month and 2-week opportunities. Applicants cannot apply multiple times for the same opportunity with different media. And here's my contact information, but before that, I want to see if there's any questions in the chat room.
So the only question I'm seeing, it looks like you have already answered, Monica. Can applicants submit to both the 2-month residency and the 2-week residency simultaneously? So yes, again, absolutely, you can apply for both opportunities. The only stipulation is that you cannot apply more than once for each opportunity, even if you're using a different medium to apply with. All right, we've got a question here. I might need a little more clarification. Is it child friendly? We want our programming to be family friendly. So, when we host open studios and workshops and things like that, we try to make sure that what we're offering to our community is accessible to the broadest swath possible. This is not a space where anyone can bring partners, pets, children. It is not a space where anyone can live on site with the resident. It just won't accommodate that. Are the dates flexible for the 2-week residencies? Somewhat. I think, we have one in December and one in January. And so, considering the fact that we're working around some major holidays, we tried to be cognizant of making sure that we're not overlapping for both the sake of the resident and the sake of the community and the sake of our staff. What is the weather in Boise during these times? We have 4 distinct seasons in Boise. So December and January, it's going to be pretty cold. We do tend to get snow, but not a ton of it. I think this upcoming year, the two-month residencies that we're offering is one in the summer and one in the fall. So in the summer, it gets pretty warm. I think it would be June, July. So June is usually pretty pleasant. I think for most of June, we had temperatures that kind of ranged between, the upper 60s and the low 90s. And then in July, it's warming up quite a bit. So we're going to see, I think, 96 degrees today. It is very dry here. It's a dry heat. So there's not the humidity. In the fall, I would say it's perfect. I love the fall here. The colors change. It's crisp and lovely, and not too cold. What sorts of workshops have writers offered in the past? This is an interesting question. We had our first writer that we had living on site actually was the the poor unfortunate soul that was during COVID. So the workshops and open studios that he was offering kind of got derailed quite a bit. So I can't really speak to that experience very well. Our second writer was practicing a type of poetry that was reliant on the vowel sounds in a word. And so he would do workshops where people would create their own poetry using the same approach. And he was able to offer those both in person and online. Can you describe the studio space, size, floor material, windows, ventilation, etc.? The studio space is about, I think, 300 square feet. It is a beautiful space with, we have one wall that faces north, has a giant, essentially indoor-outdoor space where the doors are all glass and they can accordion open. So you can open up the whole space to the outside. We have, there, Monica's showing a picture of that space. They're the clerestory windows up on both the north and the south side. So it gets a lot of natural light. It's really beautiful. The floors are a finished particle board floors. So they're intended to be something that can be messed up a little bit without having it be a huge deal. We have ventilation. We have several different vents, and then we also have a separate ventilation system that can be set up if you're using materials that are especially toxic or hazardous. But we do have, I think, 3 separate vents in the studio space itself. What kind of marketing and press do you provide for selected artists? Well, that's somewhat dependent on the artist. We do, with the Boise Arts and History Department, we have a communications and marketing team, and they are absolute pros. They do a lot of promotional work on, typical channels, social media. We have a newsletter. We have one both for the James Castle House and one for the department at large. We also work with the artists to find out what kind of media opportunities they would be interested in and seek opportunities out based on their responses. So we have relationships with local radio shows, TV news channels, newspapers, and like weeklies. And so we have been able to create opportunities for artists throughout all of those venues. We typically don't do a lot of outreach to national media during these residencies. It's much more locally focused because much of our priority is engaging our local community here. Okay, so how do you engage with alumni of this residency? That answer looks like a lot of different things. We include alumni of the residency in every residency selection that we go through. So the experience of someone who has lived on site will be included in the selection panel year after year. We have done a lot of programming where we've involved previous residents to speak about their experience. We continue to share opportunities with all of the residents that have been on site and hope that they are willing and able to share out. We typically continue to have social media relationships, whatever that means, with all of our residents and keep in contact with them after the fact as well. All right, for workshops and community engagement, does this occur at the James Castle House studio or in a different community location? Typically it happens at the James Castle House studio, but we are not locked into that. We are always flexible to explore new opportunities, especially if there's a location that would be a better fit for either the audience or the materials that you are looking to work with. And we do have great community relationships with a whole bunch of organizations, and then also all the departments within the city. What if your medium is multidisciplinary or hybrid, a mix of mediums, speaking to the requirement of honing in on one medium? Is that not permissible? Yes, that is absolutely permissible. I think just to clarify this a little bit, it's not one medium. We're looking for a cohesive body of work. So when you're going through your application, just thinking about, not sometimes we see people trying to show the broadest variety that they can possibly achieve. And and the work doesn't feel cohesive. It doesn't feel like we have a really great sense of who that artist is. So what we want to see is who you are as an artist. And if you have a body of work that crosses media, that's completely fine. We just want to make sure that there is a cohesion there so that we understand you and can better, select who's right for this opportunity. Is there a relationship or opportunity to engage with local university? Yes, absolutely. We have a really great relationship with Boise State University, which is in town here, and have been seeking opportunities for our residents to speak or present on site. We invite the Boise State University classes in to meet with the resident and see open studio events. So that is something that we are always looking for more opportunities to do. That is the end of the questions that I have in front of me. Monica, is there anything that I missed that you'd like to add?
No, I think you did a great job. I think for our, feedback, clarifying on that medium component is, I think we need to note that better. I think what you said makes it clearer. Yeah, we're not trying to limit people. We just want to make sure that we see that overall artwork consistency, I guess. You said it
The
in
voice.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, if you have any questions that come up later on after this, please email me and I will reply. We want to make sure that we're here to help and we want everybody who's interested to apply. So please reach out if there's anything that wasn't super clear, or if there's a specific something that we didn't cover that you're wondering about.
Excellent. Thank you all.
Thank you all. You have a good day.